This next guest is a friend of mine. He's an expert at marketing, crowdfunding, multifamily investing. He's a father, a loving husband. Give it up for my friend, Cornelious Canon. Appreciate you being here, man.
Well, thank you for having me, man. I'm
Yeah,
glad you're doing this. I
absolutely.
mean, it's rewarding. It's rewarding seeing people do things, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's inspiring.
Well, first of all, welcome to the Chocolate Broker. You are the great Cornelius Cannon. And
Okay.
I honestly, every time I think back, I feel like I met you at a networking event, but I think it was the one you were hosting. I don't know if you remember or not,
Yeah, I
but
do.
I remember thinking like, man, this dude is like he's commanding a room. You know
hmm
what I mean? You command a room, and I was fairly new into real estate. I don't know, maybe it was like 2016,
hmm
15 era, but ever since then, man, we've been rocking, and I'm glad you came on the show, and just thank you. So introduce yourself for the audience. Tell us a little bit about what it is you do.
Oh man, thank you so much. What I do, I think that's a very common phase. It's kind of one of the things that I should have defined very thoroughly.
Yeah.
But I think that when you kind of on a mission, kind of driven so forth, you kind of say, well, I'm looking to get results so far, if you
hmm
will. My life really kind of this whole thing with real estate kind of began a couple of years ago when I was kind of I kind of stopped and looked in the mirror and thought to myself like, man, wow, I really thought I'd be further along life than where I am. Right.
hmm
At the time, I was like doing a job that really wasn't fulfilling and so forth. My marriage wasn't really going the way I thought it would go. Right. And I really feel like I wasn't there for my kids and so forth. Right. And I tell people, I went to my two favorite G's. I went to God, and God sent me to Google. Right. And I kind of started like Googling like how to get this lifestyle that people talk about, right? This financial freedom that everybody you hear about, right? How can you have the money to like make impact and be the people that you really care about in the world? And that Googling process kind of took me to a event called Financial Freedom with Multifamily Investing, right?
Financial freedom with multifamily investing.
Correct. Multifamily investing. And at the time I was doing real estate, but I didn't really understand. But it was like basically doing big apartments and so forth, right? So it's a 3 day workshop, like many people we all go to. And I thought it was great, right? So so it seemed very simple.
hmm
First, you find a deal, make sure the numbers work, then you meet people and raise capital, right? So for the next couple of weeks, I dove in, talking to brokers, talking to sellers, trying to find the right deal, right? Then I spent hours with software, spreadsheets, trying to make sure that the numbers works, right? Then I go to meetup groups or networking groups, trying to make people to raise capital, if you will, right?
So just to put years on it, so people understand your journey.
Yes.
The way you understand it. What year was it that it was a need for a rebirth?
I think I don't I think well I have a couple rebirths in my life, right?
Okay.
The first rebirth was when I was actually in the military army.
Okay.
At the time I was trying to flip house. No, I was in the military army to become a doctor, and
hmm
I thought that it was a safe career, become a doctor in the military, and that I had a secure job, secure everything, a man being a doctor, a black man being a doctor was my thing, and so
Yeah.
forth. And I went that as spell. And what happened was Obama was in office and got furloughed,
Mm.
and that opened my eyes. And furlough means that and for us as federal employees, it means that we weren't getting a paycheck. Well, we get a paycheck, but we're not sure when it's going to happen. And it
Right.
happened several times in his administration. So it was like this secure job, and like now we live in like we're about to go to war, but I get deployed. I'm not sure I'm gonna get paid. And it was like this whole financial freedom kind of just took a toll of me. Like, what is true financial freedom? And that kind of took me to I found another vehicle as well.
hmm
I started doing trying to find wholesaling and trying to do small stuff like that, trying to figure out how to make it work because
Right.
of it's like I have to do something now because of the man or the things that I believed in wasn't gonna get the dreams that I wanted.
Right.
And I feel like it's like in this life either you can be a victim. Like I think that like life happens for you, not to you, right?
hmm
So it's like, okay, God, what are you trying to teach me now, right? Like what can I get from this? And I had to kind of figure out a way to figure out how to get out of how to get out of the situation I'm in because of it's not that
What was the situation you were in?
once again, trying to pursue a career with a marriage, with a family, and so forth, people
hmm
depend upon me. But now I didn't have control of my own finances.
Okay.
So the government stopped our checks because of the government, because they, I guess what happened with Obama administration and so forth,
Right.
they argue so forth, but it affected me directly because of we didn't get paid.
Right.
Now imagine you trying to go to war by go to war and so forth, and understand like you're not sure you gonna get when you're gonna get paid or not,
Right.
and that is like question like, is this really job security? So
Mm.
like really, what is security, or what do I have control over?
Right. If the government can't pay you, it's like who can?
Correct.
What? Yeah.
No, it wasn't that the government couldn't pay me. They choose not to pay me. They said, well, we're gonna wait, and that was like because once again, until we get through this budgeting thing, we're not gonna pay you. And that was like interesting just to see like they have the ability to do that,
Right.
right? And then they're like, no, you still gonna go to war. You still gonna do your job and do all the stuff while we just wait. Just tell your bill collectors that we're waiting for it. I'm like, it's like how do you put yourself in that so when you got a family that depend on you,
Right.
and it kind of opened my eyes to like something else need to change in my life.
I know you do a lot of things in real estate. One of the things being crowdfunding.
Okay.
You know a little bit about crowdfunding, and I know
Mhm.
a lot of people don't know anything about that at all. So
Mhm.
can you explain to me, like I'm 7, 8 years old,
Sure.
what is crowdfunding?
So crowdfunding, we hear crowdfunding like as in when we're doing like GoFundMe or so forth. You hear that probably all the time. But
Mm-hmm.
basically crowdfunding is basically when the crowd actually fund to give you funds, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And how they apply in real estate is because of, let's say you try to buy a house and the house costs $100,000. Let's do math. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And typically you'll go to a bank and get a loan. And that bank will give you about 80%. So $80,000 you gotta pay, right? Now it's up to you to come to the remaining $20,000 in order to own that home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now how we apply crowdfunding to real estate or multifamily investing or big apartment complexes. Now the apartment may cost $1 million, right? So the same process. The person would go to a bank and get 80% loan. So now I
Mm-hmm.
got $800,000. Now the person got to come up with $200,000 left.
Mm-hmm.
They have two choices. They can put it down themselves, or they can syndicate or get a crowd to help fund that deal, right? And what it does is it allows you to basically take in partners into your deal. Like saying you can find 2,000 people with $1,000, and y'all all share ownership in that apartment complex and so forth. So it allows you to raise capital or raise money
Mm-hmm.
through your community or through your audience. Now, typically, what happens is this has been happening. This is how big apartments or big buildings are bought from groups of people. But typically what happens is it requires a large lump sum, $50,000, $100,000 to invest in these deals.
Mm-hmm.
Now, many people, actually 84% of America is called non-credit investor. That means that their net worth is not over $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
So typically, the average individual do not have $50,000 or $100,000 to invest into a deal.
Right.
So it's like you miss out on the opportunities are together.
Right.
So what crowdfunding does is it allows you to put smaller increments in to be a part of these deals. Now, granted, a smaller investment means a smaller return. But however, $2,000, $1,000 a month of extra cash flow is kind of life changing to some families,
Right.
right? So I mean, so if you get a check in the mail for $2,000 for something that you bought in the past and you invested in the past, say like 2,000. So I mean, we're spending money as consumers, right? We spend money on courses, people at courses. We spend money on TVs. We spend money altogether out to eat, right?
Right.
Eat for dinner. So imagine you say buy a course to buy ownership in an apartment complex, right?
Right.
And now you're able to say, well, I can learn and see what other people are doing because you're not leading it. You're watching people. You're a partner in this deal. So somebody who's an expert is leading it, but you're learning as you go, right?
Mm-hmm.
You start getting checks in the mail you get checks because of why the people who pay the rent pay you as the owner, and you get checks in the mail, so forth, right? So are wired how you care for it.
Okay.
So now you experience this cash flow.
Yeah. So okay. So crowdfunding is basically like everybody sitting at the table helping you eat this big meal that you can't fully swallow it yourself.
Correct.
So you have everybody, hey, look, you take a bite, you take a bite, you take a bite.
Mm-hmm.
And in return, those people taking the bite, they get some food and you get to eat as well.
Correct. And I think so usually the community one of the biggest things GoFundMe is very popular in crowdfunding space, and usually it's like, okay, grandma want to die and we need money for her funeral,
Mm-hmm.
right? Everybody chip in,
Right.
So everybody chip in and to help pay for my grandma's funeral. So usually it's crowdfunding, but now we're doing it for investment side as well. But now we invested in grandma's funeral, but how get return back? So we're using the vehicle as an investment vehicle opposed to strictly donations.
Mm. Wow, that makes a lot of sense. So, what is the typical investment for someone who is, say, working, I don't know, a Foot Locker or something like that? Like,
Mhm.
how much? What is the minimum someone could invest?
So that's a great question. The minimum we've seen is $500.
Okay.
Because of we say because of the person who actually leading the deal decides how much they want to make their minimum, and that determines about how many people do I want to deal with. Like if
Mm-hmm.
I need to raise $1 million, should I get 1,000 people at $1,000, or
Mm-hmm.
should I find some people at $50,000? Right.
Right.
So how many people do I want to deal with? I mean, not me, but the person who actually put using the deal, leading the deal. How many people they want to deal with in that operation?
Okay. So this deal, so a crowdfunding will have to be structured ahead of time of
Correct.
what type of investor you're taking.
Correct.
You may take a few 500s, and then after that, that sector is
Correct.
closed, and then
Correct.
go up from there.
hmm
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so the person who actually doing the, cause we actually on a portal. So the
Mhm.
person who actually doing a deal, they decide how much they want to bring in investors in.
So I definitely want to get into the multi-family deal room,
Okay.
right? You've created this thing called the multi-family deal room, and I don't want to take the shot, so I'm gonna let you explain
hmm
what the multi-family deal room
hmm
is.
Have you ever seen the show Shark Tank?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
during my journey of doing apartment investing, I went to an event and they had an event called Shark Tank for apartment investors, and it was pretty cool, right?
Mhm.
Somebody who came up there with a deal, apartment investing deal, and they had a panel of experienced investors kind of talk about the deal, right? And the audience, and I was in the audience, I get a chance to experience as well, right? It was a live event. I said, man, this is cool, man. How can I do this as well? So I went back to my hometown, Fort Worth, Texas, and I wanted to do my local area, same thing. 'Cause I thought it was a cool event. I like events. So I said, well, then COVID hit. So I said, well, let's try to do online.
Uh-huh.
So I started a Zoom call, right? A Zoom thing, and I had a Zoom event where I was hopping on Zoom, online, and and I had experienced apartment investors kind of be my panel,
Hmm.
and people came and pitched their deals on my show, and it sounds great because of it sounds great. So the idea was for me to get a chance to be a part of the deals, and it started growing where we had so we did like for like every once a month. Then people like so much, we started doing every 3 months, and kind of went down. Then I said 1 year I said, well, I'm gonna do one every week. I
Hmm.
did one every week, and it went from like 30 people to like over 170 people on a Zoom call. Like the highest we got like 179 people on a Zoom call, right? And the thing was that people come pitch their deal. Our panel get a chance to evaluate the deal to invest in it. But also the audience get a chance to invest in it as well. So what it was people in the audience will get a chance to see these deals out here and learn how to pitch. So it's like a threefold, right? The presenter got a chance to get more exposure to their deal, right? People can
Hmm.
see it, more people see their deal. The judges got weight because of they seen as authority, and the people in the audience get a chance to invest in deals by listening to somebody else evaluate a deal for you. Because the thing about investing in real estate is like it's like what's a good deal, what's not a good deal, right?
Hmm.
And you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
So, but the ability to see people who more experienced than you evaluate a deal, and like, oh, now I'm learning from how they evaluate a deal, but also now if they invest, I can invest with them.
Right.
So that idea was great, but and I was like this, wow, that's a great idea because my was called it was they did Shark Tank. I called mine Shark Pool at first, right?
Sure.
Shark Pool. It was Shark
Yeah.
Pool. And because it was Shark Tank was Shark Pool, right? So I like this. So but then it was great. But then the issue kind of came about was even if I have 100 people on the phone call, right? Only about 50 people on there was actually considered a credit investor. That means that had a net worth over $1 million,
Hmm.
right? So then of that 50, probably a good portion will only put that amount of money in if they get a good chunk of their deal. It's like I put money in, but I want to be GP, I want to be a leader of their deal,
Right.
right? So that pool went smaller. But then people who may have it in an RA or 401k or are in a cash maybe once every 3 years,
Hmm.
right? So that pool got smaller. So I like this. Well, how can I do more? Right? How can I do more? Cause like it doesn't make sense that 100 people only 2 people can invest, right?
Right.
Like
Because you had a lot of people who wanted too much money, a little bit too greedy
hmm,
on a deal. Other people, money was in prison basically,
correct,
and 401ks, and then so, but where the rest of people just couldn't afford it anyway.
correct.
Yeah,
Couldn't afford it
they
anyways.
were just looky loos.
Correct. I mean,
Yeah,
like I'm just here trying to figure out how
yeah.
how to get to the next level,
Hmm.
and so that's when I went around trying to figure out legally how to do it legally, And when I went to attorney, and he said first thing you do is change your name because of Mark Cuban's coming after you, or Shark Tank's coming after you
Yeah.
if you get popular enough.
Yeah.
So that changed that. So then we went to multifamily deal room because now you understand that multifamily investing it's actually a room that deals get done. Then to help out with the spill, we add the crowdfunding portal with that. So now people can sit down and listen and play the game of investing. They can invest smaller amounts and the deals being presented. So that has been a vehicle that we kind of do. So also it's an opportunity to connect with real investors actually doing the people like people who actually in the game doing actually doing investing in multifamily investing, right? Because of what you said earlier, the first thing is sometimes is seeing is believing, right? Somebody who like me actually own an apartment complex, like that's unheard of when I grew up, right?
Yeah.
But to see people who actually own these big buildings that people live in, right? And you understand it's tangible. I can touch it. I can feel it, right?
Right.
And I understand how it works. People pay your rent, pay mortgage, and we keep make profit. It's not like anything that you don't understand, like other assets out there. You probably have no idea how it works, but
Right. I think a lot of people, I mean, we forget that like being deep into real estate, like a lot of people just need to hear you buy the house, you may have a mortgage. If your mortgage
yes,
is $1,000, then you need to charge maybe $1,700 for rent
mm-hmm,
so that you have $700. Now, the $700 is not all yours. Some of it is taxes,
mm-hmm,
some of it is maintenance,
mm-hmm,
some of it is just random repairs and just oops,
mm-hmm,
So at the end of the day, you may only be making $200
mm-hmm,
on a just regular rental. Like you have to break it down to that level.
mm-hmm.
Like,
So we're creating to an online platform, right? Where
hmm
you can learn, get education, connect with real investors as doing things. You also get a chance to get invested in these deals that is being done, right? Deals you probably never seen before or thought available that around, right?
right.
Because I think, and that kind of built into the whole community development part, right? The
hmm
ability to actually create more communities out there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And because and it allows you like to get cash flow, right? Because I think that's what we look for.
So have you seen a lot of success with it? Are people investing? Have you seen people grow from a seed pupil to a flower, like grown from this deal room?
Yes, actually, yes. The funny thing is, people always ask me the question of, well, Corneilous, how much capital have you raised on a deal room, right? And the funny thing is, I really don't know, right? It's one of the things like what kind of ignited the portal because of
Because it's not your deals, it's other people thing going on. So you
correct,
don't
correct.
know. Yeah.
Correct. And then when I go to people and say, "Hey, man, how much people, how many people came to the deal room? How many people invest in your deal?" They always ask me why. Right.
Yeah.
One, because of they probably want to know if I'm gonna get compensated. Or two, but two, to think about it, it would have to be I would have to show them my list, and then show me everything on their list, right? To see compare who the same names, right? Then it's like in this space, well, I'm not sure like if I learn my deal from you or from other sources.
Right.
So it was like always that gray area, like how to connect the two things together, right? So, but which is fair enough. So, but yes, we had some people in that I know for a fact, like even our panel, our sharks, if you will, they invested in a couple deals from the platform.
Right.
So I know it is working, and people and also myself, I learned from listen to let's say 50 some pitches. I think I'm pretty good at evaluating what a pitch should be like, right? I see how people move, how people respond, how to deliver a presentation in 20 minutes and so forth, right?
Right.
Because why I've seen it so many times. And I think that the more I do it, the more I experience, the more I see it from different areas, and I learn from different markets because of as now you understand like we get now is globally, right? There's no reason why to be in your own backyard.
Absolutely.
It's because of once again
You
being
can.
a teamwork.
Yeah. You have even you have AI like you mentioned earlier. I mean, you have
Yes.
software where you can translate your voice in real time
Mm-hmm.
to an Asian investor or
Mm-hmm.
an African investor or whatever, to where you're just having a normal conversation, and then in real time that's being translated to that language so that y'all can work on a deal together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really the barriers we used to have 10 years ago don't even exist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like with like your the multifamily deal room, just being in a virtual space where people can even look to see like, oh, this is how people doing stuff. I mean, that's basically where I came from, like being a real estate agent working for institutional investors,
Mm-hmm.
where they were buying 50 properties a month, 70 properties a month. And I should say I was buying properties for them. And I was like, I want to buy these properties for me. You know what I mean? So it was just like, it was a, for me, it was an eye opening situation where I was like, man, I want to figure out how I can do this for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my broker, uh, my broker's broker, I should say, was I had saved up. I was buying. Well, let me rewind. I was buying properties like left and right.
Mm-hmm.
Like I went crazy. Like this is. You mean tell me I get a percentage of the 3% that I buy, and I can buy as many properties as I want. I just all willy nilly. I can just buy them as long as they met a certain criteria, of
Mm-hmm.
course. But it was just like they were out there. The
Mm-hmm.
deals were out there, and I was hungry. So I was like, I was it was good for an agent to bring in maybe like 5 deals a month. That's a lot of money. I was like putting 30 deals under contract every
Mm-hmm.
single month. Like
Mm-hmm.
every single day I was getting a contract and closing maybe like 20 of those deals.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had saved up maybe like $100,000, like
Mm-hmm.
saved up. And I had told this broker, Darwin, and I said, hey, I saved up $100,000, and I want to be able to do like something like this for myself. Like what? How do I get into this? What do I do? He was like, first thing he did was like he dropped his pen. He looked up. You saved $100,000. That's the first thing he said. I was like, yeah, I saved up. Because I
uh,
had always been big on saving, but I had then the opportunity to, I guess, scale my saving.
mm-hmm.
So I was able to save that money. He was like, yeah. He was like, well, the first thing you should do is buy something, get as many doors as you can under one roof,
Mm-hmm.
is what he said.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, that may have been possible,
Mm-hmm.
but fast forward, I run into you, and then you tell me about NACA, and I go through NACA, and I wind up getting the duplex as the
Mm-hmm.
first property.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was just like it was weird how those stars align, but it's like you never know, who's going to water your seed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like be open to that information and that advice. And you were like just giving out just great information. We even went to the meeting together,
Yes.
So it
Yes.
was
Mm-hmm.
like that was a 4 hour long meeting. It was just
Mm-hmm.
like so anyway, that's my story, how I got started for myself in real estate. And it was just based on those watering of seeds, including you, Darwin, and having that experience as a just an agent buying all those properties. I got to see the how to evaluate rents, values. I knew exactly what I was getting into, and it was just like how to evaluate a rehab. How much is this going to cost? Oh, I probably can get this done for 10, 15,000. And so going through NACA and then being able to keep a lot of that money, I was able to then go into the third property and fourth property. So it was just, it just really worked out well for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love stories. I love that because of they say like you look back in life, certain key decisions kind of made your life different,
Yeah.
right? And I think a lot of those moments come from questions you ask yourself, but ask deep questions, like great questions get good answers.
Hmm.
'Cause I mean, like my whole thing when I was working for a real, when I was flipping houses for a wholesaling houses, I worked for a brokerage here locally, and we would do like 50 deals a month, right? Um, uh, wholesaling houses, right? And I remember being on MLS and apartment building come up, and like this apartment building like 34 units. I'm like this 34 units, like how people buy these 34 units? And I actually called a broker and I said, hey man, how does it actually happen? Like people buy them cash, like how do people do it? And like
Yeah.
that question, me asking that question kind of took me on a different journey because like that question is stayed with me for years and years to come. Like how people are actually doing this,
Yeah.
and like then like this is actually possible. And like once you ask the right question, things start coming into the store. I think that that's why I made me smile because of you said you had a question to the broker like, hey, a simple question like, hey broker, how does this work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that took you from that moment took you from where you are today, right? The chocolate broker.
The chocolate. The
The
chocolate.
chocolate broker.
Yep. Yeah, that's true, man. That's the story, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's powerful, man. I love that. I love those stories.
Appreciate it, man. It's due to you, and I definitely can credit a bunch of other people. My friend Adam got me into real estate from college,
Hmm.
and so it was similar to your story. I mean, it wasn't necessarily more so like financial, because I went through I feel like my financial struggle like started super early in life, and I learned early on like, yeah, you gotta have money saved at all time.
Hmm.
And so I would always pay my savings before I did anything like fun or lavish like that. So just coming from the background was like nobody's gonna you are help. Nobody's gonna help you. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? So it's like
Hmm.
having that mentality early on is like really carried me financially. and me working a man, dead end job. Like I hated the job so much. And I called my friend Adam. He's working for the broker at the time, and he's like, "What you doing?" And I was like, "Man, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm thinking about quitting." He's like, "Man, you should be working. You should be working here. You should be
Mhm.
doing this."
Mhm.
He was just at home chilling. I think he was smoking weed or something like that. And I was like, I thought you said you were at work. And no, I said, you must be at home because you're smoking weed. It's like, no, I'm at work. I was like, you smoking weed at work? He was like, yeah, I'm smoking. My broker right here smoking too. I was like, what? What is going on? I'm not a big weed smoker or anything like that, but
So the concept like
but the
this.
concept, yeah, the concept was like this is so you free, like you at work, but also you have the freedom to like be yourself, I guess,
Yes.
instead of being like, oh, but like worried about HR
Mhm.
and stuff like that. So that I was like, man, I quit that job. I took the real estate exam. I locked myself in a room. I knocked out all the coursework in, I kid you not, 2.5 days.
Mm.
Just locked myself in a room, got it all knocked out.
Mhm.
And like in less than, I want to say less than a month, I was from Atlanta back to Austin, moving to Houston to interview for this position.
Mm.
Like moved before I even got the job. I'm moving like I'm out of here regardless. I got to find a better way,
Mhm.
So it was just really it's just like sometimes you got to walk by faith and just do what you know in your heart is right. Like I need to go this way
Mhm.
because this is not it.
Mhm.
I'll find something.
Mhm.
Yeah, man.
That's powerful, man. That's
Yeah.
a great story. You
So
have to share a story, like because that's how Jesus taught, right?
yeah,
Jesus taught in parables and stories, if you will, right?
yeah.
So I think
Which makes sense for the common person. It's like you telling the story versus you're getting you want to meet people where they are.
Mhm.
So you don't want to talk over people's head and whatever. So telling a story, I feel like we start telling stories for children. So as soon as you can understand, that's the first language of stories.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And like
Mhm.
why you shouldn't do something like no, no,
Mhm.
no, bedtime stories every night, that type of stuff. So yeah, that makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense.
Think about think about movies, right?
Yeah.
In the movies, in an hour and a half of movies, we laugh, we cry,
No.
we
Yeah.
mourn. It's like all the emotions, and like we upset, anger,
Yeah.
in a time frame of what in 2 hours,
Yeah.
right? We do a roller coaster. Like they are good storytellers.
And we pay for that experience.
Yes, over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so that's I think that the most that's powerful to be able to tell stories. And
Mm-hmm.
like and not only that, but we need your story.
Mm-hmm.
We need your story because of so many times I think that as human, not just men and so forth, we all feel like we're not enough of something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like to find somebody else that I can relate to, that
Yeah.
you're like me, like in this world that I have somebody who can relate to me, because we all feel like no one I can't wear alone, I say alone, but it's like it's surprising about how much alike that we are,
Yeah.
and we don't know until we actually open our mouth and tell our story.
Mm-hmm.
And so many times people be afraid to tell a story because they feel like no one can relate to them, but it's like I can relate to that, or I can feel I if not, it's in a different sense. So I
Yeah.
mean, so I'm trying to myself trying to speak more because I know that how many times listen to people, even like on social media, right?
Mm-hmm.
Listen to people's story or podcast. People may hear it. I may never meet them, but I just do that man's story changed my life. Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, and I'm sure you got a bunch of stories. I'm sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
you do. I know you do got a lot of different stories, and so I want to keep doing this
Mhm.
platform, and then definitely have you back on. But I definitely wanted to have you as one of the first guests
Thank you.
on it for sure.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely, man.
Thank
So
you.
I appreciate you. But before you go, I definitely want to get like just a couple more questions.
Please do it.
Um, relationships,
Mhm.
mixing business with pleasure, as far as like having um how important it is for your spouse, your girlfriend, your significant other to be a part of your real estate journey.
That's a great question to ask. It's funny because I asked my wife this question and she kind of said something else about it. But me and her, we actually met when I flipped my houses,
Hmm.
and our business became pleasure and so forth. And I think that I think people enjoy to have their partner as their spouse. That way, because of when I guess the best business is not it's not I don't feel like work is a lifestyle, right? Like it's like we talk about like majority of my wife conversations. It's like if you look at our 7 years been together, majority has been about business or marketing or real estate,
Hmm.
right? Because of why we on the same path. I can talk to somebody about it as well because of it become passionate about it. So I think that I believe that that helps, but also it's not necessarily needed because of I think that once again I think that once in a relationship you have to understand what do you so again it's economy. What do I what value can I bring to the table, right?
Hmm.
And what value do I want from the table? And I think that having that business pleasure, if that is my goal or financial, if I'm financially savvy or focused on forth so forth, if you're not, it's gonna cause a turmoil, it'll cause issues in our marriage or where we're trying to go, right? So I mean, but if you on the same level I am, we learn about the same thing, we can grow faster,
Hmm.
right? I guess two or more, I'm in the midst, right? The whole Bible thing, but it's like having two things together, or having a partner, somebody on my side that I can agree with, I can bounce ideas with, like mastermind and so forth. Like it's a constant mastermind in a household if you relationship with somebody who's on the same path as you, right?
Right.
So how fast you can grow, how fast you can accelerate, so forth,
Yeah.
opposed to you trying to take your mind off something else. Now, granted, now, granted, some people try to make that person your spouse that if it's not them, it's not them. It's okay. But also, as being a spouse on the other side, if something that if she's into, I don't have to be into it, but I have to respect it. Or it may be something I want to learn because of one, I want to feed into her to build us up together.
Right.
And I think so I think that missing business pleasure is something that should be thought thoroughly through.
So you met her while you were flipping. So she was in real estate too beforehand.
I was a wholesaler and she was my cash buyer.
Okay. Okay.
And we did like 17 deals together. I was
Hmm.
a real estate agent, so forth. And
Yeah.
we start when we start like doing deals together, so forth, and like talking, so forth. And it's
Right.
like it became a relationship because we've been together so long. It's kind of like
Right.
being together.
What was that moment for you where it just clicked like, hey, instead of you being my cash buyer, let me be your sugar daddy. Let
Yeah,
me
sugar daddy. She was my cash buyer, so she my sugar mama at the time. I think that the moment came when it was kind of a mindset shift because of when it's like when I am focused on grinding, or I guess when we get in this mode of grind mode, I gotta hustle, so forth, right? It's
Mhm.
like women and all the desires kind of get pushed back. It's like in war, like when you're at war, you ain't thinking about no butt,
Right.
right? Like your mind is focused, so forth. So I mean, so it was I think it was like that when I was in war trying to like, dude, I'm not getting financial free, trying to go, so forth, and she was there, so forth. So when the time kind of came to play, I wasn't really dating women, so forth. I wasn't doing things else. So like when the time came to play, it was like, wow, we both doing it. We why like let's I enjoy being around you, you enjoy being around me. Like it kind of came to be a relationship from that standpoint.
Right.
When that time kind of digressed of when the war armor came down and she was still around, like okay, let's. I felt like I didn't want to be around other people beside her, besides her because of other people could relate. Like I don't care to talk about other stuff right now. I want to talk about how to my personal development as a person, right? I want to talk about personal development, talk about spiritual stuff, talk about money, about real estate, right,
Hmm.
and marketing. Those kind of my main things I was on. And besides that, she enjoyed talking about it as well. So like,
Absolutely.
so that was one of the things that I think that made a good. It's likely it made the foundation of our relationship, right? And I think that now that's not enough because of as myself I say as a man in my life every 5 years I changed, right?
Hmm.
15 to different 20, 20 to 25, 25 to 30, 35 to 35. As I grew, my life changed dramatically in those 5 years, right?
Hmm.
So the man who I am at this day is, I hope I'm not the same man I was 5 years ago,
Right.
right? And you 5 years from now, I hope I'm be a different spot as well.
Hmm.
So my views, so if I'm changing and she changing, how can we change together? At least on the same area, right?
Hmm.
Right now, right? I'm not as in real estate like I was 5 years ago.
Hmm.
I'm more on the financial part of it. I'm more of helping people fund their deals, help, more of the marketing side of it, helping the portal, right? It still have a real estate component with it, but I'm not the guy who actually doing the real estate like I used to be,
Right.
right? So I mean, so now my conversation is a little different than it was before, right? I'm out in the street putting out bandit signs 3 o'clock in the morning no more, right? I mean, a car full of bandit signs trying to knock it down or put on a post. That's not me
Yeah.
no more, right?
Right.
It's funny because I got a big stake in my house, but that's not who I am no more, right?
Right.
I send out letters. It's just that. So I think that's important because of it's just like a company, right?
Hmm.
If you had a company and you have a manager that was kind of tearing out your they didn't have the interest in your company. They were tearing them down and so forth, right? What will you do? Will you fire them or keep them? You probably fire them, right?
Yeah.
So why don't you do the same thing for your own life? Somebody who actually managing your life, your decisions and so forth, right? Who's in your ear, so forth, right? How do you view them? So it's like we run our life differently. We run our own business, but your life is more valuable than your business.
Right.
So I mean, so who you keep around you, who you have inspiring you, right? Who's in your ear, right? Who's your council member that you can find to,
Right.
right? So I mean, so that is great to have your wife there because of she has decisions that can influence the best the both of y'all as you building up because she understands that her involvement can help or hurt their business. They can help the household,
Right.
right? So I think that is understanding that power position that she have, right? It's too powerful to be reckless, if you will. Like Michelle Obama say that.
Yeah.
She say it's too powerful to be reckless. I like this. It's very powerful.
Yeah.
And I think having that and thinking about business pleasure is once again to understand the consequences of it, right? How powerful you can be, how powerful it can be, and how destructive it can be as well.
Mm-hmm. That's deep. Yeah, you hit us
Deep.
with a lot of bars.
That's deep.
That's a lot of bars. You hit us with a lot of bars.
That's good. That's good, man. That's good.
Absolutely. So now your wife, formerly your cash buyer, is now y'all now business partners. You feel like you've gone. I'm sure you feel like you've grown further just because y'all together. Like yes, it's like two forces united. You know.
Yes, I say that. The reason why I look at it because of now that we have children, we have two kids, and now it kind of the play. Now I have another hat to put on. So as a man, you understand, like I have to put on another shift, right? Like I got to make I got I have to make sure I do date night, right? I got to invest into my marriage to make sure if it don't, it's going to fall. I invest in my kids as well.
Facts.
So now I have to figure a way to once again develop myself a different level, and that's and once again change is challenging, right? Especially when you
That's
don't.
another bar. You just keep hitting with
Yeah.
these lines. Change is challenging.
Well, thank you. Because cause like that's one of the developments that we have as men, right? Especially like in this day and age, like what is a man, right? Because especially like when you grow up in a household without a lot of men in our household, it's like especially like now when it's glorified that this whole beta male is getting glorified or over the alpha male, right? And like how can I be an alpha male because of we need more alpha males, right? How can I be a man of Christ? How can I be a man with integrity, right? And still have my alpha male mentality because of we need strong leaders.
Right.
If you will, well, that's a whole nother podcast. Because,
We're gonna have to do that. We're gonna do a whole other podcast.
That's what I'm on now. Is like, how do we? Because in this world where where things are changing, right?
Yeah.
It's like, are we really created equal? Right? God created you to be a man for a reason, and lead of a household for a reason. And how do we adapt that? How do we take in that? Right?
Yeah.
Because of you being a leader in real estate, you being a leader in a podcast, you influencer, so people following you. And once again, that's power that comes with that. People giving you their time, their attention. So what am I gonna do with it? You gave me the most precious thing you have. You're like right now, like now, I think like that's the most valuable currency, your attention. And they understand like social media, like they understand like now like social media, they pay for more views or for your attention, so forth, right? Because they understand like that's the value, that's the currency. How can I get my attention?
Right.
In fact, I want to keep balancing back and forth because that's what I need. Because the attention attracts money.
Yeah, that's what advertisers are looking at. Eyeballs.
Correct.
They count eyeballs.
Correct. So like,
That's
what
crazy.
platform you on? What are you doing? What podcast you listen to? Right?
Yeah.
Like once that time is gone, it's gone.
Yeah. How many views do you have? What's your engagement? What's
Correct.
your retention rate?
Yeah.
How long are people just staying there? What do you have? Are you getting shares? Like so all that stuff is measured. That's what's up, and that's something I learned about recently. I didn't even know all that stuff,
Yeah.
but it's real.
But even then, because of so as a influencer, as a marketer, you have to understand their rules, right? Because Facebook, for example, Facebook wants you to keep people on Facebook, right? If you put a link to take them off Facebook, dude, they're like, we ain't showing that post.
Yeah.
Right?
What you doing?
Yeah, it's like no, we want you to create content for our post.
Taking us to YouTube. What you
Exactly,
doing?
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, so they're trying to, so, and they reward you for keeping people on their platform.
Mm-hmm.
So your viewers stay on our platform. Gotcha. We'll show more of this and stuff.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, so I think that like even when people have like the Instagram pages with all this post, all the followers, Instagram not showing all your followers your information because of why they like, well, you taking people off my platform.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So and that's what you have to figure out how to, because a lot of the influencers don't make a lot of money because of they don't pay a lot for those viewers, but they just, so once again, it's a whole nother story. But I think that that's why it's powerful as we understand the attention that we give people, the power to give people, and that's the new currency now. How can I gain more people attention?
Absolutely. I said, well, before I let you go, I definitely want to get you said your wife had something to say on that when I was like, is it ever okay to mix business with pleasure when it comes to the opposite sex in real estate investments?
I think when she heard that, she was considering single men messing with women, right?
Mm-hmm.
Single, because she know that she know that me, that being, I get a lot of people, I get a lot of women on my platform because being from the deal room, I get a lot of women from real estate agents we talk to, a lot of loan officers, so forth. So a lot of women in the industry. It pays to be attractive.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it pays to look good, to work out, to have a good face, so forth. It looks good to have some kind of cosmetic appearance to you. So
Right.
so I, and especially like now, would be on camera. So I do get a good amount of women that could seem attractive in my face, are at my disposal, if you will.
Mm.
But I think it's a difference between being attractive and being attracted, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because of, I'm not looking for that, right? I'm not looking for to gauge a booty call or so forth, right?
Right.
Like, because of, once again, what I have is more valuable than the. Right?
It's another bar. Another bar by Cornelius, man. All right.
Okay.
Man, I think we got everything, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you want to ask me or say?
No, man. I just thank you for what you're doing, man. I thank you for being an inspiration of what's possible. I thank you for being success stories, and so many people out there that that's watching you right now and that seeing you be inspired, right? Like, example, like you inspired me for doing this. And
Appreciate it,
I thank
man.
you. I thank you for continue on, like, and not giving up and continue to fight, and so forth. Being
I
an
appreciate it.
example.
How can people reach out to you?
Reach out to me by going to the multifamilydealroom.com every Thursday event, or just look at me on social media for our multifamily deal room.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Cool, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.